Medical research bodies around the country have been in panic mode this week. After a number of federal cabinet leaks, they fear a massive slashing of research dollars in the May budget. In Tasmania, it could mean dire consequences for the highly respected Menzies Research Institute. Management fear its budget will be reduced by $10 million and up to 150 jobs could be lost if the cuts eventuate. Fiona Breen spoke to management and scientists as they frantically organised a public campaign against the move. They say medical cures could be severely delayed if the federal government goes ahead with its plans.
A small, relatively isolated population makes Tasmania the perfect laboratory for disease research. The genes of thousands of Tasmanians help the Menzies Research Institute conduct vital studies on diseases as diverse as blood cancers, Alzheimer's and multiple sclerosis. Funding cuts would see the end of much of this research and potentially delay cures.
The Institute stands to lose 150 staff. Our budget's going to be cut by about 50%, and the projects that we're doing at the moment will have to be put on hold or will actually stop altogether. They are projects which have actually been going on for a long time.
In the last few days, a number of the nation's leading scientists say they've received leaked cabinet documents confirming funding for the National Health and Medical Research Council will be slashed by more than half on budget day. Over 3 years, the national coffers will be $415 million short. It's the major funding source for Tasmania's Menzies Research Institute.
The people that get laid off will go and find jobs elsewhere. It'll be very difficult for us to actually build back to where we are at the present time. Students will not be able to be trained during this period, and also it will actually create the impression in our young students coming through that medical research is not a career for them.
The Institute believes long-term research will suffer. Internationally renowned scientists will likely move elsewhere, and Tasmania's reputation as a home of top-class medical research would be lost.
For example, we work on Alzheimer's disease, we work on heart disease, we work on trying to find a treatment for malaria, we work on trying to find treatments for brain injury. These are all going to be either stopped completely or vastly wound back.
While the cuts loom and the scientific community prepares for its biggest battle ever, work continues on stage 2 of the Menzies Institute redevelopment on the edge of Hobart's CBD. The fear now is that infrastructure built with federal government stimulus money could soon become a white elephant.
We face a very real risk here of new buildings worth millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, and no staff in them. This is ludicrous.
Federal Independent MP Andrew WILKIE is a powerful ally. The new state-of-the-art facility is in the heart of his electorate, and he's already taken his concerns right to the top.
Well, I've already raised my concerns with the Prime Minister personally. I spoke with her by telephone Friday of last week. I told her that I had heard these rumours. She did nothing to put my concerns at ease. She certainly didn't disagree with me. I told her of the important place that the NHMRC has nationally and the very important place that Menzies has for Tasmania and for this electorate of Denison. She, I think, understands those concerns better now.
He's urging the Tasmanian community to also apply pressure. The Menzies Institute has set up a web page with contact details for politicians and protest letter templates. Rallies are being organised and a Facebook and Twitter campaign is underway. For Dr. Joe Dickinson, the campaign's success is vital. Her team's research on blood cancers has been published internationally, and she's just put in for a National Health and Medical Research Council grant.
The Leukaemia Foundation has funded us for this year, and I've just yesterday submitted a grant to the NHMRC to fund the research into the future. And of course, any cuts to funding would significantly reduce our chances, especially significant cuts of funding would significantly reduce our chances of getting funding for this into the future, and which would be really disappointing given that we've come so far with this research.
The research is one of the success stories of the Menzies Institute. It's shedding light on the genes that lead to inherited blood cancers.
We have been able to confirm a number of things, and one is that there are multiple different types of cancers, blood cancers in these families. Another interesting finding that we've had is this evidence for anticipation, which is the tendency for each subsequent generation of individuals to get cancers earlier in life.
It relies on decades of work by clinicians and scientists, but also volunteers like Kate DELL, who regularly trawls through the state's newspapers for information on people who make up the Menzies Institute's huge database of families.
We are given a list of death notices and we verify them through the newspapers, and we make a list of next of kin, follow it all from the newspaper, and we enter it into a database.
Using information like this, the Institute's genealogist has tracked down thousands of members of 13 Tasmanian families, right back to the first settlers.
I just think that we've got a great asset in what we've got, and a lot of people have stayed here, so there's a lot of 7th, 8th, 9th generations here. There's a few branches might trickle off overseas or to the mainland, but they basically all stay here.
Many of those on the database are now providing important genetic details. The Menzies Institute has tracked down more recent members of those families and found blood cancer rates were still higher than the rest of the population.
What do they hope to get out of their participation in this study?
Obviously, if we actually find something, it's not going to benefit anyone really in these families in the near future. Even if we're looking for a diagnostic marker, we think that in these families it's not going to be brilliantly useful for them. So they're actually volunteering, I imagine, in the hope that someday we'll actually be able to find a treatment that will actually help other people with these same tumours.
Decades of work by thousands of people is now in jeopardy, and the Prime Minister Julia Gillard is seen as the one wielding the axe, cutting funds that could affect the lives of many people for years to come.
By short-sightedly cutting medical research, she's actually decreasing our competitiveness going into the future. She's shortchanging Australians who are actually looking forward to treatments for many of the diseases that they suffer, and she's actually, in a funny sort of way, increasing the costs of medical services delivery going into the future.